make sure the software connects. All right. I believe we are just about to go here. I'm just going to double check and make sure it's posted and we are visible to everyone, and then we'll be good to go here. I don't see my red live button, so I'm just making sure it's connected here. But I don't ever want us to start talking and then I don't live.
Like, no, it all's gone. No.
Yes, Bridget.
There's a live button on the bottom of the banner at the bottom. I don't know.
Yes, I designed that one. So.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it says live video is starting. All right, we are now live. Perfect. I can see the real live button letting us know that we are out and going. So welcome everyone to our Facebook Live video, and we are also streaming to Instagram. So if you're watching on the Pediatrics Instagram, it's great to see you on there as well. Today we're talking with Dr. Alexis Sawyer and Bridget Barnes, excuse me, Bridget, from Boys Town Parenting, all about how to practice effective praise. So Dr. Sawyer in the middle, I know we've gone on live with you before for newborn expos, but please, introduce yourself, tell us more about your role at Boys Town, and I know you're a parent yourself too.
Right. So I'm Dr. Alexis Sawyer, and I work in the pediatric clinic downtown, and I've been with Boys Town almost 14 years now, and I have 3 children that I really work to praise more than criticize as well. So I'm kind of in the same boat as a lot of parents.
Yes, welcome. And Bridget, tell us more about yourself too.
Well, I'm the director of Boys Town's Common Sense Parenting Program, and I've been with Boys Town for over let's say for a long, long time, for decades, we're working with parents and with professionals all over the country and the world, just kind of spreading the news that parenting can be a fun and wonderful experience, and that our kids can grow in very positive ways when we use the right tools with them.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Well, it's great to have you both on and to have so many years of experience, both as experts and pediatricians, as well as parents, really lends a hand to this topic that we're talking about today. We're going to start with a quick definition. Bridget, what is praise?
Well, I like to think of praise as the parenting skill that makes all the other parenting strategies work. When you use this, it really does help you, and everybody likes praise. We all like praise, and when children are learning and growing, they especially need us to praise and encourage them. Our general definition of praise is praising children for the positive behaviors that they do by giving them positive attention, and for their improvements, for their attempts, for their achievements. It is the act of catching kids in being good, right? And it's very important for us to catch them in the act of being good, because it's very easy to catch them doing inappropriate behavior. So that is in a nutshell. It's just catching kids in the act of being good and giving them the attention they deserve for those improvements, attempts, and achievements.
Mm-hmm. So then, Bridget, why is praising our children so important?
Well, I think Alexis would agree with me that it creates that connection, that relationship building. One day these little people will be leaving us. You want to have a good relationship with that person who's waving goodbye as they go off to college or wherever they're going. And so using that praise with them creates that connection. It also makes children feel like a sense of self-worth, like, oh, I can feel positive about myself because my mom or my dad is noticing that attempt, or even if I failed, they notice that I tried hard and I made improvements, or I really did achieve. So I really do believe it's really a good thing for kids' self-worth as well as parents' connection to their children. What do you think, Alexis, about,
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. It's all about building a positive bond with that little person, and in doing that, you really can just reinforce a sense of self-esteem and a healthy relationship with the people that are their caregivers. And I think that is a foundation that every child needs and deserves, and they can build on that. And so it can start with just simple comments about what they do great. And that just builds this sense of goodness and feeling good about themselves that they can build on, especially when things aren't always good, and as we know in life. So, yeah, I think it's just really important for that foundation.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of infectious in a household.
Yeah.
I tell parents, you have to bring it like your groceries, like you bring in the groceries. You have to be the one that brings in the praise. Don't wait for your children that start being more positive. If you notice that your household is fairly negative, everybody's bickering or finding fault, you bring the praise every day. Just try to find something to praise in your kids. Spend an hour looking for it. And when you look for it, you're probably going to find it. So I think that it's important that we kind of understand that parents can be taking the lead when it comes to praise and giving that to their kids like they give them nourishing meals and exercise and other things.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I love what you said. So often as parents, it's easy for us to catch them, doing a behavior that we don't want them doing, but to really make a point and catch them being good, we say that a lot here at Boys Town, is something we can all work on daily, for sure. So, Dr. Sawyer, what are the 3 steps to praising effectively?
So, in order to praise effectively, I think your child needs to realize that you're praising them. And that can be done many ways. And each child may actually react to a different strategy, but I think either with words or physical affirmation, either way, you can show them that you're seeing them doing something good. So it can be something as simple as whispering "good job" in their ear, or giving them a fist bump or a small little hug. It's that acknowledgement that they were doing something good and that you took the time to acknowledge it. I think that matters to them, and that's a really good first step in effectively praising a child. And then I think you just want to go a little further after that initial step of affirming that they did something right, by describing what they did right, because they may not know 100% what was good about what they did. But if you tell them and you describe, you did a great job, brushing your teeth and getting out of the bathroom in time today, then they know exactly what they did and what they're getting their praise for. And it's more likely that they're going to do it again the next time. And then the last thing I think is really important is to tell them how that affects the day or their relationships, or what the effect is, because we like to understand things by cause and effect. And if they realize that they're getting praise for something, then what did that result in for them that's good? And so I think that for really effective praise, kind of closing the loop and telling them, what did that lead to that was so good? Did we get out of the door because you were really good and responsible and, use your time well? Do we have some extra time to play an extra song in the car? Or do we have some extra time to just have some fun time together during the day? Kind of giving them an understanding that when they do things that they're getting praised for, that those can result in good things in the end as well. And so it can be a very nice positive feedback loop into itself, I think.
Yeah. And calling out the behavior specifically, when your kid hears, "Oh, I got out the door faster," I'm going to probably want to do that more, just like what you said. Sometimes, it might even be something where they know that they're expected to do it every day. Like, "Great job making your bed this morning." They might think, "Okay, you make me make my bed every day. So, what is so special about this moment in this instance?" But
I think it is calling out and praising things that even they do regularly.
right.
And I don't think we intuitively think of doing that all the time, because it's just a routine, but it can really start to reinforce that. And then you can build on that, which I think is, if you put it in practice, kind of a cool thing to see.
Mm-hmm. I
I've
feel like
had parents say that to me as well.
it,
That should I praise them for things they already know how to do, Bridget? I mean, really? And I say, well, I already know how to cook, but I'm sure if my husband doesn't praise me every so often, getting too
You
many
might
tips,
not.
And so we all want that praise, even if we do know how to do that thing. And I really like how Alexis is saying that, being very specific about what it is that we like, so the child knows, oh, that's what mom or dad likes. I should do that again, and you'll see that, and they'll look at you like, do you see me doing this behavior over
You
here?
better praise them again.
Exactly, exactly. And it comes back to you. The beautiful thing about this tool
Mhm.
is it comes back to you and kids begin to praise you. Good job, mommy, and the hot dogs. And you're like, okay. So it is getting in there. Very good. Yeah.
yeah. So when it comes to giving that effective praise, Boys Town has a tool called the 4-to-1 praise ratio. Bridget, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's a really great strategy of, for every one time you're correcting a child, you try to find 4 other times to praise them for something that they might be doing. And you can do that. Sometimes it's happening right in front of you and we're not noticing it. Let's say that my child ran in the house and I told them to stop running. And I called them to me to correct them about that. But when they came to me, I say automatically, thank you for coming to me right away when I called you. When you do that, then we can get back to having a fun time. Okay. And then I would tell them what they did wrong, which was running in the house, and that they need to go back to the door and walk to me. And when they walk to me, I go, look, good job. See how you walked? That's exactly what I want you to be doing. So you don't hurt yourself. Okay. Why don't you go out and play? And so you can find those times of praise. I just found 2 of them right then and there while I was correcting a child. So oftentimes, even my correction is surrounded around, opportunities to find kids doing something good. Because oftentimes, children are doing something good and bad in the same breath. So it's up to us to find those opportunities to praise them. And that's the 4-to-1. For every one time you see a child doing something negative, try to find 4 other times you see them doing something positive.
And how is this effective? Have you heard some good feedback from maybe our parents in our Common Sense Parenting classes on using this praise model?
Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. So what parents say is that they notice how negative they were being it by being more positive. They're like, wow, and my kid is also noticing me being more positive. Some of them are kind of shocked, like, what's wrong with mommy? But a lot of times they're like, okay, I'm doing good. And she's noticing that. And I think that when you catch kids being good more, guess what? When they're being good more, they're being less, naughty. Right? And so it cuts down on even the negative behavior when you're looking for that good, right? And so it's a beautiful tool that's way underused, I think. It's just looking for, and I tell parents, don't overdo. Try to start small. So I just say, find an hour during the day where that's what you're going to do. You're just going to focus on that 4-to-1 just for this 1 hour. And then you can expand upon that until it's just part of your language, part of your day.
Yeah. And, this is kind of hot off the press this week here at Boys Town, but we actually have a new physical tool to help parents and families along with that 4-to-1 praise model. I don't even have it at my desk yet because it's still getting mailed to me. Otherwise, I would show you. But we did make these things called bracelets. So it is a set of 5 bracelets, and one of them is blue and says Teach Love on it. And then there's going to be 4 yellow bracelets. So the blue one is going to be the correction. So, you start the day as a parent or caregiver, teacher, wearing those bracelets. And then when you give the correction, you'll move the blue one over. And then the challenge is in that next hour, using each of those yellow bracelets to move one over every time you give a praise. So we will link those in the comments of this video, and you can request your own bracelet and use that as a tool. So wanted to mention that in there because it's very timely right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think just focusing on that ratio, you're not going to be perfect 4-to-1, but focusing on the ratio really as a caregiver opens your mind to just a different world of seeing children. And it makes your thoughts about them and their day-to-day, I think, a lot more positive. And in that way, your relationship changes in such a great way. And it's a small thing, but it has a ton of impact, just focusing a little bit on a simple ratio.
Yeah. And I'm sure too, think about, Dr. Sawyer, I know you have teenagers, right? Are your kids?
Not quite yet, but close.
No.
No, not yet. Don't put me there yet, but it's coming.
Even then, with a little bit older kids, I'm thinking,
Yeah.
sometimes they're like, Mom and Dad, like, you just dog on me all the time. And all I hear is this criticism. And so
100%. Yeah. So my oldest is, he has some attention issues. And so it tends to be that he's the one that I'm correcting the most always. And even when I was kind of preparing for this last week, I was like, have I really been doing this in practice? And it changed the way that I interacted with him, the last few days, which is, once again, I think we just need to constantly be thinking of how we're interacting with our children or the kids around us and reevaluating what's healthy and what's not. And this is a good way to kind of get back on track to refocus on that ratio. So.
Mm-hmm. So that kind of leads me, into my next question. How do parents put praise into action in their homes? Maybe they're like you and noticing, hey, I've got opportunity to praise more. How can they start doing that?
I mean, I think Bridget has already talked a little bit about that, is start small, like look for the small things initially. And just, start in practice small chunks of time, maybe set aside time when you may be the most stressed as a parent. Is it after dinner, or is it before you get them out the door? Or is it certain times during the day when you're more stressed in your ability to care for, the children around you? Try to find a time that you can focus on it and see if it changes things during that time. And then once again, real small things to start. And then also just focusing on things to build upon the things they already do well, like we were talking before. Anything that they do to improve themselves or anything they're striving towards to reinforce and just give them support. You can even go as far as if you wanted to do certain, charts for praise or, things like stickers or things like that. But it doesn't have to be that, formal. It's just, once again, putting that ratio into play, I think.
Well, in our house, we usually have meal together. So you start with a prayer, and you end with a praise. So at the end of
That's
it,
great. Yep.
people can turn to the person on their left and say, "Oh, I liked how you helped me out with my homework this evening," or whatever the thing might be. And so just go around the table, and it's a nice way to end dinner. Whatever might have happened between that prayer and praise, we don't know a lot of things, but yes, you can end it on a positive note. The other thing I notice about kids, especially after working on the campus with some of our kids in the residential homes, is that they really love to have praise when you're praising them, praising someone else, telling someone else, but praising them. So we have a thing called a family meeting, and I, use that in my home as well, where you're talking about the child to other people, and they just puff up. They just get 10 feet tall, and they're like, "Wow, this is really great." And some of them they get a little embarrassed, they're like, "Oh, please," but they like it. They like it. So just weaving that into your life where you can, and when you do that, you're making that conscious effort that Alexis is talking about, that you really do, making it a part of you versus it's that thing I'm doing to this one kid or at this one time. Yeah.
And totally not looking at this is something that, we need to stress out about, or, okay, I'm waking up and praise is on my to-do list. Like, it's not one more thing that we want to add to our plate, right? We just naturally kind of want to work it in and kind of give a more positive outlook, I think, for everyone in the family.
I think the more you practice it, the easier it comes naturally. But as with anything, I think there's going to be times as a parent or a caregiver that you're going to be out of practice, or you're going to realize you haven't been doing that. And the nice thing is that it's so simple, and I think it's fairly easy to get back in the habit of doing it. So I think that, yeah, I mean, the more you practice it and the more you just make it part of your way of thinking and relating to young people, that is, that it solidifies a lot more, and it makes it a more natural thing for you. But like anything, at first you feel like, am I doing this? Is over the top? Is this, can they see through me? Like, do they know that I'm using the strategy on them? And
Yeah, when my kids were little, they had these little praise boxes on their door, right? And I would put it was around their doorknob, and I would put little messages like, "You did a good job of picking up your toys," and and then when I read the story, then we would take the things out of the box, and they would, and that they could work on their reading, and we would work on, and I would praise them. Now, when they got older, you can't use a praise box. The teenagers like, get away from me with that. And so I would have these little dates with my son that we'd go around to the corner to the gas station and get a Coke or soda, whatever. And, he'd tell me about his day and I'd praise him for sharing with me. And it happened kind of naturally in this other kind of organic way. So, just being open to putting it in your life and thinking about who you're talking to. Is it a toddler or is it a teenager?
Right.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that, because one of our questions here in the comment section was, how can I best praise my teenager? And that's a perfect example of, they might not want the little praise box, but going out of your way to do things like that, Bridget, is great.
I think with teenagers or preteens, talking to them more and listening to their day or things they've done during their day and praising them on what they're reporting to you is twofold nice, because it basically encourages them to continue sharing with you, which is what we want our preteens and teens to keep doing, is talking to us. And then it also just effectively reinforces good decisions they've made throughout the day. They're better at reporting what they've done during the day than a toddler would be. So, but that's a more mature way to, I think, insert praise into our older kids in their lives and our relationships with them.
And would I be correct in saying, the more that you praise your teenager when they're giving you a rundown of their day, the more they're going to want to tell you, right? Because they're saying, wow, mom and dad are giving me really good feedback on me sharing. So tomorrow I'll tell them even more about my day, things like
Usually.
that.
And then, if you can also give them praise about difficult situations, making sure that they understand if things were a difficult choice, or if maybe they didn't make the right choice, praising them for sharing or for being open to hearing about what you have to say about it. There's lots of different ways that you can praise, not just the action, but their decisions around the action. So it's finding those layers with those older kids. It can be more complicated, certainly, but it's definitely really rewarding once you get in there.
Sometimes my son wouldn't say anything. He wasn't talking. You have those teenagers, they're not sharing that day. They had a hard day, but he's just spending time with me. We're having the soda, talking about nothing, the game, the whatever. He doesn't share a lot, and I just thank him for, being with me and spending that time. And then he wants to spend time with me because I'm not pressuring him. Well, what happened? What did you do? Like with a, flashlight in his face. I'm just like, okay, just spend time with your kids, be around them. They'll get used to you being there. And then you'll see that opportunity. It is like, it'll show up. And then you just have to kind of be ready to praise when it does.
Perfect. Well, this has been an awesome chat, and I feel like we covered praise, from what it is, and listed several examples on how to do it and implement it in your home. So if you're watching this live, this is your challenge for the day is, as soon as you hang up this video, go praise your kids or praise another family member and see how it transforms your home, and let us know, because we would love to hear. So awesome. Well, Dr. Sawyer and Bridget, it was great to have you both on. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Gabby.
Yeah, this was a fun talk. We usually talk about very serious things, Gabby, and this one was like easy to do. It doesn't cost us any money, and we can use it all the time. Great.
100%.
Amen to that. So make sure you check out our resources on praise linked in the comments, and you can request your own praiselet, just as I mentioned. We'll talk to you next month. Have a great one.